Claus though. I just want to put Santa Claus there because I love him. So it's in your textbook, page 122 and 123. Before I start, I want you to know what clause is. So a clause is like a sentence, but what is a relative clause? Which very pertinent to today's topic. Today's topic is not about clause, but relative clause. A relative clause is to describe or explain something that has just been mentioned using one of the following relative pronouns. This is very confusing, I know, but we will get into it later. So, again, I know that you will laugh at me because I keep on asking everyone what is a pronoun. Now here we are again. So there are some examples of relative pronouns. I give you 7 here. Who, whose, that, which, when, and where. So these are all relative pronouns, okay? So before that, you need to understand the difference between a phrase and a clause. A phrase does not have a subject and a predicate. A phrase by itself does not make a complete sense. Okay? Okay, this particular slide, I'm not doing it because I can see a grammatical error there. A phrase does not make. Okay, this particular slide, I take it from Google. Anyway, can you see selftuition.com, the watermark? Anyway, a phrase, do you remember our previous topic? Adverbial phrase. A phrase does not make sense by itself. If I'm talking to you just using a phrase, for example, like a baby. Like a baby is a phrase. What the hell is that supposed to mean, girl? Can you see the examples over here? In the park. Okay, imagine I stumble upon Katie and I ask her in the park, what the hell? What do you mean in the park? Yeah, find bitches. What the hell? Okay, it does not have a subject or a predicate. It is just a phrase. Okay, now a clause. A clause have a subject. A clause has a subject and has a predicate. So the subject, for example, you have made a mistake. You is a subject. Have made a mistake is the predicate. A predicate is what the subject is doing. Okay, so you are talking about you or visual. So I am talking about visual. Visual is the subject here. What is visual doing? Visual is talking Jasin. So the entire thing now, visual is talking Jasin as a clause or a sentence. Okay. That comes to the part of what is a relative clause. Relative. It's easier for you to remember. Relative. They relate to one another, like you and your relatives. You somehow relate to one another, right? So, when I am talking about the noun or the pronoun, for example, the head teacher squinted at the boy. So the noun that I'm talking about right now is the boy. Now I want to relate the boy to another part of the sentence or another part of the clause. What happened to the boy? Now I talk about the boy again. The relation. The relation, you can see it there. He had someone to the office. So whom is a relative pronoun. The entire thing. Whom he had someone to his office. The entire thing over here is a relative clause because it starts off with a relative pronoun. Home. Okay. Number one, rule of having a relative clause. It must go immediately after the noun or pronoun it refers to. If you have a pronoun or a noun and then you want to do or you want to make a relative clause, it must go right after it. For example, Vishwa is a noun, right? So who is a relative pronoun. The entire thing right after Vishwa and who is a relative clause. Who had trouble staying put in class is a relative pronoun. You get what I mean? Okay, how do you know it's a relative clause? Because the clause starts with who. Okay? Rule number two. Who, whose, and whom are used for people. You do not use these for things or items. Katie is a person, so the relative pronoun that you need to use is either who, whom, and whose. So what's the difference between who and whom? Who is for subject and whom is for object. So Katie here is the main subject. So the choice of pronoun that you need to use is who, not whom. Okay? So who admires robots is a relative clause. Okay? So can you see the note down here? Katie is a person. So a relative pronoun that suits her as the subject of the sentence is who. Now, what if we are talking about the object? Ian here is the subject and Reagan is the object. So Ian shut Reagan off. Whom? So whom here refers to Reagan because Reagan now is the object. So whom had talked for hours is a relative clause. Without realizing that Dr. Jeffrey was on the line too. So Reagan, can you see the note down here? Reagan is a person, so a relative pronoun that suits him as the object of the sentence is whom. So can you see the difference between who and whom? If you are talking about the main subject, the one that does the action, we use who. But the one that receives the action, we use whom. Rule number three, that and which are used for things. We are no longer using humans. The lightsaber is not human. So the choice of relative pronoun is which is now old, is a relative clause. Okay? So can you see the note down there? A lightsaber is a thing or item, so the use of which as its relative pronoun is fitting. Rule number four. Sometimes it can refer to the rest of the sentence rather than a noun or a pronoun. Do you remember the previous slides when we use noun and pronoun? Like Katie. Katie is a noun. Pronoun is like she. Okay. So we can also use ideas. Like for example, Hannah doesn't entertain fools, which is commendable. Doesn't entertain fools is not a noun, it's not a pronoun, it is an idea. So relative clause can explain an idea too, not necessarily a noun or pronoun. It can be an idea. Now it comes to the part of restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. There are two types of relative clauses. One is restrictive and another is non-restrictive. It's easier for you to remember complete sentence, right? And in order for you to put a parenthetical phrase, you need to have a comma or bracket to separate the added information from the complete or main idea of the sentence. But restrictive clause is when you do not put comma or brackets to separate the added information or the relative pronoun. Like for example, the letter that I wrote for you, Jill, yesterday is gone. So that over here is a relative pronoun, right? So do you need to put bracket or commas? No, you don't have to. And even if you omit that, the sentence still makes sense. Okay? The letter I wrote for you, Joe, yesterday is gone. Without putting that in the sentence, you still can understand the sentence by itself. So non-restrictive relative clause is when you put commas and brackets. It's just like parenthetical phrase. Okay? So the sentence still makes sense without it. The difference between a parenthetical phrase and a non-restrictive relative pronoun clause is when you put relative pronouns like who, whom, whose, and that. Okay, like Anika, who studied hard for the annual exams, scores A for all the subjects. So you need to put brackets or commas to indicate the added information, and that is a non-restrictive relative clause. So the note over here, non-restrictive relative clause does not carry the central idea of the sentence, hence its presence is optional too. Okay, so homework for 8 Virtue peeps. Deadline is next week Tuesday in your exercise book. You need to copy down the questions and then give the answers straight away. Page 122, 1 ABCD, 2 ABCD, and then page 123, types of clauses. Do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and page 123, 2 favorite authors, 1, 2, 3 in your exercise book.